I think that color grading is the most powerful way to improve your photos, but that doesn't mean it's the easiest. In fact, there is a lot that goes into color grading, and every photo is different. So in this video, I'm going to show you 5 simple color grading tips that can greatly transform your photography, and it doesn't matter how skilled you are or what photo editor you use. Anyone can apply these tips, so let's start with the first one that I like to call the Bob Ross method.
Hi, welcome back. Certainly glad you could join us today.
If you've ever watched Bob Ross or anyone paint a painting, then you'll notice that they usually start with the biggest parts of the canvas, like the sky and the clouds. Then they move on to slightly smaller details like the mountains, until they finally paint happy little trees and bushes. This is not only because it helps to paint in layers from back to front, but it also helps establish an overall composition of the canvas. This technique can also be applied to color grading. You can start by making big adjustments to the image as a whole, like the overall contrast. Starting with the big picture helps you set the mood and style for your photo. Are you feeling sunny and bright, or cool and desaturated? This approach ensures that you have a cohesive look and feel, and it saves you from getting lost in the tiny tweaks. By setting the overall tone first, you can then tweak smaller details with ease. And if you're wondering exactly what to start with here, well, Bob Ross once wisely said, "You can do anything here, just make sure it makes you happy." Okay, I'm gonna show you one of the first color grades I've ever done, and you have to promise not to laugh, okay? Here it is. When I first started color grading my photos like this one, I had a great relationship with the saturation and the contrast sliders. I loved to crank those things because I thought it would make my images pop. But the problem with doing that is it's not going to make anything stand out, and it will just sort of lead to a visual fatigue because everything is competing for attention. Now, after some time, I went back and re-edited this photo once I had a slightly better understanding of color and contrast, and this is what I came up with. Now, of course, this one isn't without its flaws as well, but why does this one seem to work better than the other one? I mean, the flowers actually have more saturation in them, and it seems to have a lot more contrast. So why does this one look better? So what's the secret here? If you think about an orchestra, you don't want to have it sound like every instrument is competing for full attention at all times. That would just sound messy. But when you have each element working together in harmony, it creates beautiful music. So when you color grade your photos, it really comes down to a balancing act of your colors, your contrast, and your exposure to create a sense of stability, dimensionality, and visual appeal. This new one works because of that balance. I didn't just bring the saturation of everything up. I took the time to go through and adjust the saturation and lightness of the flowers, and I desaturated everything else to give it balance. The same can be said for the contrast. I went for a high contrast, but I kept a balance by fading out the blacks to allow the flowers to stand out without overwhelming the viewer. I paid a lot more attention to the harmony of the colors and the contrast in the image, which led to a lot better looking grade. But how do you know exactly which elements you should focus on? I want you to imagine that you are walking through a vibrant garden filled with a wide range of colorful flowers. As you walk, you'll notice that the flowers are beautiful, but because of the sheer variety of colors, it makes it a bit overwhelming, making it hard to appreciate any one flower or color. But now if you pluck a select few and arrange them into a simple bouquet, then each flower seems to be emphasized by one another. The colors may even complement each other and make it even more beautiful. So often I see beginners trying to make their photos as colorful as possible, but more often than not, less is more. But Michael, how do you know which colors to focus on? Well, I recommend taking a moment before you grade each photo to see exactly which colors you are working with, and use your own taste and artistic visions when you decide which colors you want to emphasize and which ones to tone down. For example, if you have a photo where the trees in the background are a mix of greens and yellows, it might be better to pick one of the two and shift the other color closer to the one that you picked. Like if you want to have an autumn look, then you should shift your greens closer to yellow so that there are less competing colors. This approach also makes your workflow more efficient because you're not constantly second-guessing every adjustment. It's a win-win for both creativity and productivity. And in fact, let's talk about how to save more time in your color grades. If you are someone like me who really enjoys color grading each photo individually, then you know it can take a lot of time. It's like you want to give enough time to each of your children, but if you did, it would take forever for you to get through an entire photo shoot. And this is where presets and LUTs can come in to really help you out. While it may be tricky to use LUTs and presets as a one-size-fits-all solution, what they can help you with is giving you a great starting point or foundation, or even some inspiration for the look that you may want to go for, and save you a lot of time in your edits. Now, like I said, I truly think that color grading is the best way to make your photos better and uniquely yours. And that is why I made my new bundle, Hue Haven. If you guys want to use LUTs or presets on your photos, then this bundle is perfect for you. The full bundle comes with 15 creative LUTs, 20 Capture One styles, cheat sheets, and even a mini course on how to color grade your photos from scratch. For a limited time, you guys can get 10% off this bundle for the launch week. So if you're ready to add the extra punch of color and make your images pop, head over to the link in the description and give it a try. Your photos will thank you. But now, what if you want to use the power of color and storytelling to improve your photos? When you look at this photo, you might feel a sense of warmth, like you are sitting under a warm sunset, or even sitting around a campfire. But if you look at this photo, you might feel cold, like a chilly winter day. This happens because colors are more than a physical thing we can see. Much like how music may elicit different emotions in different people, colors actually have a lot of psychological power behind them, and you can use that in your photos. I think a good photo is one that tells a story. And if you use colors to help emphasize feelings and elicit certain emotions, then that is just going to make your photos more impactful. This is why color grading is my favorite step in the editing process, because it helps your stories come to life. This is where your photos can become art. If you take a look around, you can find some guides on what some color common associations are, and I'll be sure to leave some resources in the description. You can use these associations in your photo. With that, you can take what would have been a nice portrait and turn it into a symbol of what makes that person who they are. There is a lot of power in color, so use it wisely. If you want to learn how to apply these tips, then be sure to check out Hue Haven or check out this video on how to get moody tones in Affinity Photo. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day.